I think Harvey Danger's still stuck in my head from a few episodes ago.
Paranoia, everybody come and get me.
What's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker, and this is WP Watercooler, episode number 328.
Wow.
Oh, man, we're old.
This particular episode is brought to you by ServerPress, makers of desktop server. Make sure you go over to their website at serverpress.com. They got some really cool stuff that are happening over there, and we want to make sure that you guys are able to take a look at it and try it out. They do a free trial, so feel free to go download that. And it's not even a trial; you can use it forever if you want.
No, it's three. I think it's 3 free sites.
Yep. So definitely go take a look at that, and we'd really appreciate that.
They're also good people. I like pointing that out.
Except for Mark Benzacane, the guy's a jerk.
He's not. He's not being sarcastic. He's a good man.
Not. He's totally not. He's a good friend.
I think it's really important to call out good people. We do a lot of calling out of bad people. We should also call out the good people.
They all three of those guys are the best, and Mark
solid people, and they have a solid company.
Yeah.
Boing. We have a busy show today. We actually figured out we could maybe like do 2 topics or something like that. So we'll see how that goes.
Let's see how that goes.
Real fast. I want to see if we can do a very fast intro, like just boom, 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 and just kind of knock it out real quick. So Steve, tell us about yourself.
I'm Steve Zehngut.
Jason Cosper.
I'm Jason Cosper, and all I want to do is zoom, and a boom, boom.
Say Reed, how about you?
I'm Say Reed. I make WordPress, teach WordPress, preach WordPress, on Say Reed Media, on all the things.
Jonathan.
I'm Jonathan Wold. I make WordPress, teach WordPress, preach WordPress on Twitter.
I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me on Jason Tucker on Twitter, my website, jasontucker.blog, and we do another show called WPWab. Make sure you go take a look at that, WPwatercooler.com/WPWab. All right, so
that was the fastest intros we've ever done. Let's spend some time talking about it.
That at the bottom, I guess it'd be the bottom right-hand side of this video, not our video that we're looking at, but people that are watching the live stream. There's a logo down there. That logo says Zoom, and so we actually use Zoom, the product that tons of companies use to be able to do these types of chats, hangouts, all these types of
client meetings. I use Zoom for all my clients. I use it for WordCamp Long Beach. Use it for various associations and board meetings that I'm involved in.
Steve used it for Orange County, County Board Camp, but use it there.
No, we use Zoom daily. We use it for our daily production meeting, and we use it throughout the day just for meetings because I'm managing a remote team.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Cosper, you guys use that as well, right? I mean, we all use Zoom, and Zoom recently had a. Would you say vulnerability as much as like the way that it's been described to me is that Apple had a essentially like an OK box that pops up that says like, click on this to do something. But if you don't go out to the internet and actually say, hey, I want you to start playing this video and use all this stuff, and you rather use like a local web host, like local web server, then what it would do is that pop-up wouldn't come up saying like, hey, do you want to use your camera? Hey, do you want to use your audio? It doesn't do any of that stuff. So for them to get around it, they put on a local web server.
On their local web server.
On your own computer. And so that shows up. And so there was an exploit where you're able to kind of kick that off if you're on the same network as someone else using Zoom. As far as I thought
it was on their server. I thought they hosted.
No, it's on your server. And this is on a Mac.
It's on a Mac.
Well, I mean, obviously we all use Macs.
Right, but this is big because Macs don't usually have these kind of if you want to call it a vulnerability.
Yeah,
they don't.
I don't know that this is necessarily. Well, I guess it's a vulnerability because it can be exploited. But I mean, this is a feature, not a bug. Right?
No.
They meant it as a feature.
That's what I'm saying. Like they meant it as a feature. This was for a seamless experience, so you didn't have to do all those things. Like this was intentional. This was
intentional. Yes, this was intentional.
I do not think that the exploit of people being able to turn your camera on remotely, that was not intended. Or maybe it was because they're creeps. I don't know. It's hard to say.
The interesting thing is if you used MacMail, I'm not sure how many of you don't just use the Gmail interface or whatever, a third party.
Other overlords.
Right, but if you use MacMail, there was the added bonus of if someone sent a crafted link inside of an email to you, MacMail would just load that link in the background. So basically you could get a specially crafted email that would drop you into Zoom, turn your camera on, everything else.
Now, if let's be clear, if the camera goes on, I have a little light next to it that tells me the camera's on, right? So I can
that's hardwired in. That light is hardwired in.
That's not hackable. They can't turn the light off and spy on me with, I know that the camera's on, right?
But for those of us who leave photo booth on all day for spontaneous selfies, no, just kidding.
However, there's a second part of this story that's, I think, even scarier. And
part two?
And that's how Apple reacted to this. Did you see what Apple did yesterday?
Yeah, they rolled out a silent update.
A silent update. Right, so Apple patched this without any
silent update.
I didn't know that was a thing, right? So
is that a thing?
Apple does this in the background on the Mac without any intervention. They updated something on my Mac without me knowing or doing anything.
That's Orwellian.
Yeah.
That's some Orwellian creep.
Which is all fine and good for like my mom's computer, but when you're running like a production environment where you're gonna have to make sure that everything's working okay, but my mom's computer should totally be updated. But like my production computers that I have at my church where we manage all of our video and audio and all that stuff, we like want to make sure that everything's running right, and we really don't want to have an update happening right before our Sunday.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I just had a conversation with a client this morning about that because one of their staff mistakenly told their IT team about something that was on a Yoast vulnerability on WordPress. And I was like, look, you can't have your IT team who deals with your phones talking to your websites. You need to not do that because people will just go in there. And I was like, I need to know what's happening in the environment. And if you do things that I don't know about, I can no longer be responsible for whatever the heck is happening on the site because I don't know about it.
Yeah.
What were we gonna say, Steve?
I was just gonna say we should all after this just go watch Snowden.
Watch Snowden? Oh, the movie.
Snowden.
I was like, just his webcam on?
just watch him. Well, log into your Zoom exploit and you can watch him through his webcam.
Just turn it on. He's on a Zoom channel.
So there's a couple things that are interesting to me about this. There's one, how Zoom as a company responded. That's always interesting when something like this happens.
Mm-hmm.
Their initial responses and the follow-up responses, that tells you interesting things. You mentioned, so Apple's position in this is interesting. Like my memory's fuzzy, but I remember yesterday when I came to my computer, I saw the prompt that let me know that there was an update. I kind of knew it was coming. I don't remember, Steve, to your point, if it gave me a choice or not.
I didn't see any prompt. And I just saw the news that said Apple silently updated everybody's Mac.
Well, and that's not.
How did they do that though?
No. I don't think it actually pushed unless I'm mistaken. Like when you log into your client, there should have been there's a new version of Zoom, and there was a special note. Like it looked different.
Zoom, that's Zoom, right? So Zoom, you go in and you can go in and check for updates, and it'll patch it for you, right?
There's an article I'll have in the show notes for. Yeah, we have a couple. So.
What I was going to say about Apple, because this reminds me of how they dealt with, you guys remember a while back when Facebook was doing that thing of like recording user screens? And the way that they did that was like you signed up to be a tester and you would install a Facebook app via, like they used the enterprise bypass that Apple had set up to allow for them to control. And basically Apple's like, this was not designed for that because the people use it. So they sort of stepped in and basically Zoom worked around the way that Apple has designed apps to work. So Apple, it's interesting that the language here, I think John Gruber was talking about this or someone else. The language here is like in their update, Zoom worked with Apple to test this update, which requires no user interaction. So yeah, to your point, Steve, but like you kind of wonder, that sounds more like Zoom putting a positive on Apple said this had to change and it was going to happen whether we liked it or not.
I don't know.
Update your Zooms.
Say you're muted.
See, I actually. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it's really interesting because not everybody's on the same version of of iOS, or not iOS. This isn't iOS, but whatever. Not everyone has the same Maverick. I don't even know what we're on anymore. But like, not everyone has the same operating system version. Like, I'm not the greatest updater in general. I tend to hit the later button for a while on my computer. I know it's terrible. I don't do it on web or for clients. Okay, just my own stuff. I'm just a what is that? Luddite.
Neophyte.
Not a neophyte, a Luddite. The point is that they did this and they removed, the server, like no matter what you were, like no matter, this wasn't just only for this specific version of their operating system. I think that's really interesting, just because they were like, boop, we're going to take that away. It's kind of like ebook readers, how like Amazon, like Kindle readers, they can just update the text of your book, just you won't even know that they updated the text of the book. You're just like looking for something and it might not be there, which is like super Orwellian, super dystopia. Like information is just changing without notification. It's some creeps.
See, I didn't have a problem with the background update, but mainly because I had uninstalled Zoom the second that I had fully uninstalled Zoom. The second the exploit was announced. If you use Homebrew, you can actually issue a command, brew cask, even if you haven't installed it through Cast Room, brew cask zap, and then the name of the application. In this case, it was Zoom US, and it will remove everything, P-lists, all of the things basically that Zoom installs, it removes. So basically by issuing that command, I got rid of it. And then when they said, oh, hey, there's an update, we don't have the web server anymore, I just reinstalled it. Sure, there was 36 hours where I couldn't take a Zoom meeting. It's like, hey, let's just do this in Hangouts instead or whatever. But that was fine by me.
You muted again.
Damn it. I like how during this, Steve and Jonathan just disappeared. Like, are you guys testing your video? Is it like, you're like, and goodbye. What's happening? We're not here anymore. We're demonstrating how it is to turn off your video. You just click this button right here. And
it actually wasn't me. It was Tim Cook. Tim Cook did it.
They're like, you guys are saying some crap about Apple. You're done. They're just remotely turning off your web video now.
That's exactly what happened.
What's happening?
Anyway, that's the Zoom thing.
Yep.
Well, Jason was just talking about brew cask, which is like really sounds like you're talking about some like witches stuff happening. Getting witchy up in here.
Basically is, yeah.
I'm like, what are you doing? You're like, boil, toil and trouble. Delete the Zoom and all its bubbles.
I like Brew because it allows me to basically, the second I get a new machine, I reinstall my machine. I just give it a list of all the software I want installed, and it handles it. Like, I don't have to go and download all the crap that I need to work from a single machine. So,
and then in like a year, it's going to be like, Brew has been saving all of the applications on a secret server that you have ever installed.
Cool.
Like, yeah. I don't care.
He's like, cool, I have the list. Have the list for me. I appreciate it.
This is something I actually tweeted about based off of this, which I think is like, especially with geeks in general, tech nerds, things like that. Like, obviously everyone knows that things aren't secure, right? But like, we're hooking up our fridges and our cars,
IoT,
and our, just like literally everything. Our what are those things that make it hot and cold?
Air conditioning.
The air conditioning system.
I speak fluent say.
Or our hot tubs, some of us, and it's like, we're just like, yeah, sign it up, install the app, do the thing. And it's like, we have this app for our central air or whatever. And it's like, what's the vulnerabilities on that? Like, even if that had some crazy hack where people could enter through my air conditioning app, like,
they have them all the time.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's not going to get the publicity that Zoom is. I mean, Zoom is used as it's a huge thing. It has a huge level of touch across all of
that's why Apple intervened and said, we'll just do an update. And they just
right. But there's all these holes all across these, you know, crappy little apps that are made, not like Zoom, which is actually like, you know,
So,
heavily
question.
produced
But-
app.
Question. Think about vulnerabilities. So it's interesting, Apple choosing to intervene, right? What is the responsibility of the WordPress project if we find vulnerabilities in plugins?
Way to bring that back.
I'm just interesting, right? Because for me, I'm happy Apple did it. Like, I feel like that's one of the things that I trust them to do is look out for my best interests and my privacy as a user.
But it also makes it feel like you're running like the canary version of the operating system. Like, it's like, oh yeah, we'll just roll out everything. When if you're somebody who wants to make sure that everything's going to work every single week, and then some random update shows up and updates your stuff, I want to be the opposite of that. Like, I want to have like full lockdown, unless I want those installed on very specific computers, just like very specific clients on WordPress. You know,
Jason, you've done IT work for years. Did you do IT work through the era of like Windows XP?
Oh yeah, dude.
Okay, and when there
and all that fun stuff, yeah.
Right, but when there would be an exploit available for Windows XP, and sometimes you'd find out that someone hasn't updated their computer for weeks, months, whatever, and then you have to clear all this malware, all this, you know, crap off of their computer. Didn't you kind of wish that they had just updated in the background?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So honestly, like, okay, people, you know, the more neckbeardy among us, the more like, you know, oh, I just want to manage every bit of, you know, my computers and things on my network and everything else. Like, they didn't push that update out for us. They pushed that update out for the end users.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the end users that actually needed that update, I think it's great.
And that's what I was saying earlier, is like, I'm happy my mom's computer got updated.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, so I just want to, so there's been we haven't talked about this, at least not an episode I've been on recently, where there was kind of like this rogue plugin support team. Did you guys read about this? I just posted the link in the chat, so it'll be in the show notes.
I've seen this before. I'm taking a look.
But basically, so this security firm was like researching plugin vulnerabilities for WordPress, and just started disclosing stuff without the, you know, that lead-in time. So I guess they were doing 0-day plugin vulnerabilities, right? And not notifying the companies and just being like, oh, here's a big hole, y'all should go in. And that was actually an action that they took based on the fact that they said that they weren't getting responses from the WordPress plugins team and the companies when they were doing it in that way. So there's been this little kind of like quiet little scandal going on, which none of you even know about this?
No.
No, I know about it.
Breaking news. Oh, whatever, Cosper. Okay. Anyway, so there's been like this, and so maybe you can speak to it too, Cosper, but basically like one of the main plugins was Facebook for WooCommerce, which, you know, we've talked about WooCommerce. You know, Facebook is kind of a thing. It's kind of a big deal. This is kind of, it's, you know, the Zoom of WordPress, maybe. So it's really interesting because they were just kind of going renegade and releasing these vulnerabilities and saying, hey, these are the problems, without what has been like the due diligence of, what do you call that when you pre-notify?
It's disclosure, but it's like a
secret disclosure. There's like a word for it. Why can't I not think of it?
That's all right. Appropriate disclosure, what have you.
Whatever. You like tell the company beforehand, before announcing it publicly, that there's an issue.
Yeah, I don't want people coming after my email or WordPress sites, but I think that the people who don't do responsible disclosure like this are fucking babies. Sorry, Jason, but really, they cannot basically get the response that they're expecting. So what do? They go ahead and release stuff. They drop stuff when it's not appropriate. Basically risking the safety of the internet because basically somebody didn't handle things the way they wanted it to be handled. That's garbage. They should just
Yep.
I feel very strongly about this.
While I agree with you, I think you have to take that on a case-by-case basis, right? And what I'm saying is, this isn't just the WordPress team, right? So it's different. It's different if we're talking about the WordPress plugin team versus a random plugin developer, right? Think about just trying to get support for some of the plugins that you're using, right? And so a lot of the times developers will post a plugin and they'll just ghost, right? They're gone. And so they don't support it. And so
that's how I develop most of my plugin.
What's that?
That's how I develop and support most of my plugins. I just really
What I'm saying is, and so there could have been cases, I'm not saying this is what happened, but there could have been cases where they tried to contact the plugin developer, they didn't get back to them, and this is important information to get out to people who are running these plugins, right? And so I think you have to take that on a case-by-case basis. I'm not saying you're wrong.
So basically, I went to the tapes. They're not tapes. But they were posting the vulnerabilities in the forums and violating the rule of, instead of emailing the plugins team, they were posting in the forums. And, for that reason, they're like, it's a silent protest or causing chaos, or not really sure, what the deal is. But, there's rules like that for a reason. I mean, this guy, the Zoom dude who discovered the researcher who discovered the thing, like, he went to Zoom, right? He didn't just publicize it, or did he just publicize it also?
One of you guys may know, but it seemed like Zoom admitted to some like not moving fast enough or something, that they didn't handle it as appropriately as they should have. So it seems like contact was made, but maybe they didn't take it seriously, because they called out, we're making these changes to how we deal with bugs. But I'm not super familiar.
And with something like this, I mean, the way this was part of Zoom's architecture, right? And so it's not something that, even if they responded quickly, they're not going to be able to just maybe patch this overnight, right? This is a big deal, right? And so
by making it so public, Apple had to respond, and everyone had to have like emergency response team, 24-hour type deal, as opposed to just like, yeah, it's on the list.
Yeah, because it's threat level Snowden.
Well, people really don't like the idea of their webcams coming on.
No.
They really don't like that. Like, I mean, I put a shirt on sometimes for the show.
If hackers get an
occasionally,
if hackers get an eyeful, that's their problem.
I think that's their goal, actually. This reminds me of a Black Mirror episode in a really creepy way. Like,
if that's their goal, that's really flattering. Hey, hackers.
That's what everyone always says. If the CIA is spying on me, they're like,
live on the internet. Who would have thought? Look at that.
Yeah, we're so exposed. Anyway, I just think I tweeted about this, and what I said was, hey, everybody, the internet's not secure. Welcome to the world. Like, stop acting like it is. Stop pretending that it is. Like, it's not. None of this stuff is secure. Every day, the stuff that was secure yesterday has a new update. Like, Yoast SEO was, totally fine last week or whatever, and now WP Engine is like, there's a security vulnerability. You have to update right now. They do it in that voice also. That's how I read all my WP.
Is that
like Minnie Mouse?
No, that's the bear. What is it? He's a smart. That's my smart bear voice. Oh no, everybody!
A fun follow to go back to the Internet of Things stuff. A fun follow on Twitter, if you use Twitter, is sorry, Jason. Internet of Shit.
You've already used the F word. You might as well use the F word.
Right.
He's not at church. He's good.
Yeah.
It's a family adjacent show. We haven't said that in a while.
No.
Right. So but they cover a lot of the kind of wild things about how technology is like encroaching into our lives. It's a fun follow.
Well, if you don't have the ability to make a separate VLAN in your house for all of your Internet of Things stuff, then why are you using all of this stuff? I don't understand. I mean, I have network isolation on all the things at our church. You come in and you look like you're the only person on the network when you connect to our guest Wi-Fi. Like,
that is so unusual. You know this, right? You know you're special. You know you're.
No, I'm not special. This is like installing SSL on your website. Like, you should be able to figure this stuff out. And if you're not going to figure it out, you're going to be vulnerable. I'm sorry. But that's
what my point is. People are not figuring it out, and they are vulnerable. And the real problem, I think, is when we act as if we are not vulnerable. When we act as if it is secure. That's really what the problem is. We should all not be surprised by this stuff. I expect this stuff. I expect vulnerabilities. I expect sites to get hacked. I expect, Zoom to turn on my webcam.
This is totally not appropriate for this show, and Jason and I have talked about it before, but Google screw driving, and you'll see what we're talking about.
Is that like a new drink?
No, you'll see. Yeah, Google Internet of Things. It's totally inappropriate for the show. Google Internet of Things and screw driving, and
am I Googling that?
It'll scare the hell out of you.
Well, this is the thing. Like, how can you be scared if you're expecting this? If I were like a total noob, or not even a noob, just like an average person, like my clients, like they're surprised when I explain to them, no, that's not a secure password. And yes, you should probably have more secure passwords. Yes, people can actually
install OnePass. Everybody right now,
I like LastPass.
Either way, LastPass or OnePass, you should have something.
Yeah,
Firefox also has a vault feature that they just released that works really great.
We actually, I have gotten all of my clients to create their own OnePass vault now, because I'm not kidding you. No, I'm not kidding you. Up until just this week, somebody sent me a PDF with all their passwords in it.
Wow.
Nice. Was it a scan of the PDF that they faxed to themselves? Or
here's all our passwords, right?
It's surprising.
It makes me
how willing my clients are to just give me their passwords, like for their entire account. Like I have a client, I was like, oh, you should add me to your analytics. And they're like, okay, here's my password. I was like, no. I don't want your entire Google account password. Just add me as my account.
Exactly.
It's cool.
And it's like their daughter's name and then their birth date and then an exclamation mark at the end. And you're
I know everybody's dog's name. And
just rewatch War Games. It's right in the drawer. It's written there on a little post-it note. The password's pencil. Just rewatch War Games.
Or The Net. Remember The Net?
Oh God, that was an awful movie. But yes,
I just always remember that she ordered pizza, and that was like in the 90s, and it was like that was like pre-Grub. Like
if you're gonna watch a hacker movie, and we've talked about them before, watch War Games or Sneakers. That's all you need.
I mean, Sneakers is the best movie ever.
Don't watch Swordfish.
Look, I thought it was really cool when I was in World of Warcraft and I ordered a pizza. I thought that was pretty dang awesome, but
In the net, or when you were
playing World of Warcraft?
I don't know that. That's not a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Although that totally reminded me of a podcast I was listening to where they were talking about the disease in World of Warcraft. You guys remember that? There was like a disease. It was a computer program problem where they had in World of Warcraft. They had a bug in their thing. Yeah, and it
was like a virus that was causing a virus?
In the program, and everyone was getting sick, and it was killing everybody's characters.
Nice.
People were like reacting, and now they've studied it as like how will people react in a biological warfare thing. And it's you don't know about this, you really need to look it up.
I'm going to go look it up. It's an actual virus.
It was super fascinating. I was like listening to this and my jaw dropped. It was pretty amazing. I was like, this is the most meta thing I've ever experienced.
So we're going to look up the World of Warcraft virus. We're going to Google Internet of Things and screw driving. And why not just go ahead and add a lemon party on top of all of that?
It's on Wikipedia. It's called the Corrupted Blood Incident.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? Like, so even within a controlled environment of a video game, they lost control. Like, and then everyone's dying. All their characters, people's characters they've been working on for years, just dead, just gone. All their stuff.
Yes, I love it. I love it.
I mean, and that's literally a video game where they control everything. And FYI, people, the world. Not a video game where we control everything.
I'm already reading it. Non-player controlled characters could contract the debuff.
Yes. right, folks, I want to say thank you very much for coming and hanging out with us on Internet of Things Water Cooler. And make sure you go over to our website at WPwatercooler.com/subscribe, where you can subscribe to this content and the other stuff that's also happening out there on Water Cooler's website. Lastly, if you want to be on the show, it's all you do is go to WPwatercooler.com/subscribe, subscribe to our mailing list.
Come talk about random stuff with us.
Each week I send out an email, and that email says, hey, hit reply and just tell me that you want to be on the show or not. And then, I myself actually go in and add you to the list, and everything just happens all manual effort. So,
and you can come chat with us about all sorts of random.
Alexa, play the water cooler.